Hi, it's Josh, and I've got to share something with you that made me laugh out loud this morning. INEOS recently drove a mud-covered Grenadier right up to Land Rover's headquarters, towing a giant billboard that basically says, "We're better than you." I mean, talk about showing up at somebody's house and challenging them to a duel. Well, this isn't just your ordinary car company trying to get attention. This is INEOS throwing down the gauntlet at what might be the most entertaining automotive rivalry that I've seen in a long time. And in this video, we're going to break down what this gutsy campaign means to those of us who own Grenadiers, those that are thinking about getting one, and what it tells us about the company behind the vehicles. Now, if you're new to the channel, I've been a Grenadier owner for almost a year now, and I've documented my journey with this unique vehicle. But to understand why this campaign is so significant, we actually need to go back to 2016. That's when Land Rover discontinued the classic Defender. You know, the boxy, go-anywhere vehicle that had barely changed since the 1980s. For a lot of off-road enthusiasts, that was heartbreaking. Land Rover was moving on to a more modern, more luxurious Defender that, let's be honest, is a great vehicle, but serves a very different purpose than the original. Enter Sir Jim Ratcliffe, a British billionaire and off-road enthusiast who basically said, "If Land Rover won't make it anymore, I will." The story goes that he came up with the idea while having a pint in the pub called the Grenadier in London. That's where the name came from. And INEOS actually bought the pub later. I made a video about that I'll leave a link in the description. But Land Rover wasn't exactly thrilled about this. They quickly tried to trademark the shape of the Defender to block INEOS from making something similar. The legal battle went on for a few years until 2020, when the courts finally ruled that the Defender shape wasn't distinctive enough to trademark, and that cleared the way for the Grenadier to exist. So, there's already some, let's call it, history between these two companies. So what exactly did INEOS do? They created a brilliant billboard showing two vehicles side by side. A pristine, clean Land Rover Defender next to a mud-covered INEOS Grenadier, with the tagline, "Let's take this outside." This message is pretty clear, right? One is for looking pretty and one is for going off-road. And then they took the billboard and they placed it directly outside a Jaguar Land Rover dealership in London. But they didn't stop there. They also mounted the same advertisement on a trailer and had a mud-covered Grenadier tow it right up to Land Rover's Solihull factory. I mean, that's pretty bold. It's like showing up at somebody's house and ringing the doorbell. What I find particularly interesting is this fictitious document that was leaked, showing what appears to be a top-secret mission brief titled "Mission Us versus Them." It details the plans to drive the Grenadier to specific locations and deliver the message directly to Land Rover. It's all very theatrical, but it is kind of brilliant. INEOS CEO Lynn Calder said, "We've held our tongues while winning in court cases over and over again, and we feel it's now time to set the record straight. We're not them, and we're not trying to be them." She called it tongue-in-cheek and a humorous way to highlight our differences. Land Rover's response was predictably corporate. JLR does not comment on other manufacturers' products or businesses, which, you know, is exactly what you'd expect them to say. So, what does this mean for us Grenadier owners and enthusiasts? I think it reinforces what many of us already love about these vehicles. They're purpose-built, not marketing-built. When I first got my Grenadier, one of the things that attracted it to me is it wasn't trying to be all things to all people. It's not trying to pretend to be a luxury vehicle that can occasionally go off-road, even though that's honestly how I mostly use it. It's built for capability first, and everything else comes second. And that's not to say that the Grenadier is uncomfortable. I use mine as a daily driver, and it's perfectly fine for that. But there's also a certain honesty to it that I appreciate. And when I look at the controls, they're designed to be used with gloves on and not look pretty in a showroom. And I think that's what the campaign is highlighting. The Grenadier is unapologetically rugged. It's not trying to be a status symbol or a fashion statement. It's a tool, and it's proud of that. I've been in touch with other Grenadier owners since the campaign launched, and the reaction has been overwhelmingly positive. There's a sense of pride in being part of a brand that's willing to be bold and clear about what it stands for. Looking at the bigger picture, I think the rivalry is actually good for the off-road community as a whole. For years, we've seen traditional off-roaders evolve to more on-road focused SUVs. The new Defender is a perfect example. It's a great vehicle, but it's moved upmarket and has become more refined. That's created a gap in the market for vehicles that prioritize capability over comfort, utility over luxury. And it's not just Land Rover. Look at what's happened with the Toyota Land Cruiser, the Lexus GX, and even the Mercedes G-Wagon. They've all become more luxurious and, in many ways, less focused on their original purpose. The Grenadier is filling that gap in the campaign that INEOS is planting their flag firmly in that territory. It is saying, if you want a vehicle that's actually designed to get dirty, we're your people. What I find particularly interesting is how INEOS is positioning itself as the defender of the old Defender's legacy, which is a bit ironic given the name. But there's something refreshing about a company that's so clear about what it is and what it isn't. And for those of us who chose the Grenadier, there's something validating about seeing the company stand up so boldly for the values that attracted us to the vehicle in the first place. So, did INEOS land a meaningful blow with this campaign? I think they did. Not because they're going to hurt Land Rover's sales. The new Defender is selling extremely well, and these are ultimately different vehicles for different buyers. But because they further cemented the Grenadier's identity in a crowded market. They've made it clear that what the Grenadier stands for, and they've done that in a way that's gotten people talking. For current Grenadier owners like me, it's a bit of validation. For those considering a Grenadier, it's a clear statement of what you're buying into. Not just a vehicle, but a philosophy. I'd love to hear what you think about the campaign, whether you're a Grenadier owner, a Land Rover enthusiast, or just someone interested in the off-road world. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. Is this a brilliant marketing or unnecessary provocation? Does this make you more interested or less in the Grenadier? And if you're enjoying these Grenadier videos, please consider subscribing. I've got plenty more content coming, including some real-world testing that might just get my Grenadier as muddy as that one on the billboard. Okay, knowing me, probably not. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.